So now I want to take this build, and I know that this is getting like a long video, but now I want to take this build and I want to see how you would convert it based on different scenarios with like going from single target and then transitioning to pure AoE. So let's imagine we have this build locked in, and then it's like, let's say we're on a boss that is pure single target with intermittent add cleave, and it's burst add cleave. So the mobs are going to die very quickly, probably within a few seconds, and maybe there's like 5 to 10 adds or something like that. So quite a high density, but maybe they're going to die very quickly. Well, in that scenario, I would probably still take Primal Wrath. So what I would probably do is pick up Primal Wrath there, and then I can drop Tireless Energy instead, because I'm going to get Predator resets whenever things die. So maybe I don't need the energy regen as much as a high priority. It's not going to be worth taking something like Double Clawed Rake if things are going to die very quickly. However, if you were in a scenario, say you're on Council, which is one of the new bosses, I think it's the 3rd boss or 4th boss, that is 4 mobs sustained combat for the whole fight. And that's all, it's just 4 mobs. So in that scenario, Double Clawed Rake is really good because you can do 2 globals, everything stacked up with Rake, works really well with like your sudden ambush and applying your rakes up nice and easy, saves you globals, saves you energy, really nice, and it's just a lot easier to track rakes on 2 targets rather than having to count 4 separate different rake bleed up times. So that's really good. So if things are dying really quickly, I wouldn't go Double Clawed Rake, which means I wouldn't go Infected Wounds because I don't care about additional rake damage because things are going to die quickly. In terms of Rampant Ferocity, again, I maybe don't want to take it if things are dying very quickly because I'm probably not going to get the value of proccing that Apex Bite and then using it, so it's probably not going to be super, super high value. But let's imagine for a second, same with Tear Open Wound, right? Same with Tear Open Wound, if I'm not going to get a second Primal Wrath on those mobs, then it's probably not worth, or maybe if I only get like 1 Primal Wrath, it's probably not worth getting Tear Open Wounds. Because what I would want to be doing is Primal Wrath immediately, and then just Brutal Slash 3 times, and everything should just be dead, and you've got like 3 Brutal Slashes and Primal Wrath, and just like bam, that's like just quick burst damage, but you've not really invested too heavily. Like, what have you sacrificed? You've sacrificed only 1 Tireless Energy, you've gained energy efficiency with Predator anyway, and then you've just taken Primal Wrath instead. So really, really good there. You've not bothered to take Apex, because you're probably not going to proc your Apex, so that's fine. And nothing else you really care about, so that's fine. So that's a very easy transition from pure single target to a pure single target fight with intermittent burst AoE. So now let's imagine, whoops, oh no, okay, hold on, I can do this again. Hold on, this is fine. Now let's imagine that we're going into a fight which is instead, there we go, which is instead gonna be, now let's imagine that we're going into a fight that is instead going to be pure single target with, well, let's say it's going to be like a 2 to 4 target cleave, okay? And it's going to be a consistent cleave, so like that Primal Council, for example. So then what I would do would actually be quite different. I would then want to, I'm going to drop some talents here. What I would then do is I would invest instead in Tear Open Wound and Rampant Ferocity, and I would drop the talents here. And I would pick up my Primal Wrath and my Double Clawed Rake. The idea behind this is I'm probably going to be biting less on 4 targets because I'll be Primal Wrath spamming. Or, you know, even on 2 to 4 targets, I'll be Primal Wrath spamming, not Ferocious Biting. So Taste for Blood value goes down because Primal Wrath value goes up. You're then going to be Double Clawed Raking, as I said, to spread rakes onto multiple targets. So that's cool. So we can then, if we're taking Double Clawed Rake and it's going to be extended, probably grab Infected Wounds as well, because then we're getting really good value from our rakes. We then can drop Sudden Ambush, potentially. You might even want to still just take 1 point in it. I personally probably would as well. But then you can take Rampant Ferocity, because you're going to be, later down the line, grabbing your Apex now, because you're going to have multiple mobs with Primal Wrath on them, ticking very quickly with Circle. So because you've got multiple mobs with Rip, ticking quickly because of Circle, that means more Apex procs, so that means more free bites, so that means Rampant Ferocity is going to gain value. So again, you could take some value in Taste for Blood, but you'll just probably run out of talent points, so that's fine to not do it. I would still want Blood Talents because I can still generate that. I would still want Rip and Tear, I'd want Apex there. And then this is where you can make some of those decisions. You can go Adaptive Swarm with Unbridled Swarm if you wanted to, but you would have to make some changes. So you could drop, say, Lunar Inspiration if you're on 2 targets or 3 targets, I would probably still want Luna. But if you're on like 4 targets, I would probably drop Luna instead. And I would pick up like Apex, I would pick up Circle here. And then you can go for like an Unbridled Swarm play. And I would still drop Merciless Claws there and pick up Carnivorous instead. So this is like a decent way of doing like a spread, like a consistent 2 to 4 target cleave. That's going to be throughout the whole fight. You'd still want Brutal Slash because it's really good burst damage, and you're still going to be doing things like Apex procking, Double Claw raking, still generating your blood talent, so you're going to not just be swipe spamming, you're going to be wanting to do 3 different generators periodically anyway. Your bleeds are going to tick quickly, you've got multiple rakes to maintain, so I think that it's fine to take Brutal Slash still. Adaptive Swarm, like I say, you can spread it around. You could also drop this if you wanted to and go like 1 minute Convoke still. There's value in that. You probably still don't need Moment. Merciless and Luna you could drop. Taste, you could go that if you really wanted to. But again, where's like, what are you going to drop for Taste? If you're going to take Taste, can you drop... Nope, you can't take Tireless. You could drop Sudden Ambush, or you could drop Infected Wounds to take Taste. But is the value really there? Is the value really there? I doubt it. So, you probably do something like that. Next, let's imagine, so this is probably roughly what you could go with if you're going to do like a 2 to 4 target cleave, something like that. And hopefully you can see where all the values there exist. I would probably still take, I mean, this is a decision. If it's a consistent cleave, then ads aren't going to be dying, which means you're not going to be getting Predator resets, which means there's still value in Raging Fury. However, because you're getting Apex procs, there's going to be added value to Tiger's Tenacity, but probably not enough to overcome the value of Raging Fury. Next, let's imagine that we're going to be going into a boss fight that is mass AoE, just like mass AoE. Because I think we've done pure single target, we've done single target with intermittent burst cleave, we've done burst AoE, we've done we've done 2 to 4 target cleave. The next scenario I would imagine is probably just like mass AoE. So mass AoE, we're actually already in a very similar build to like what you would want to do with mass AoE. Let's imagine that you're just like cleaving a bunch of mobs down and you're not really trying to prioritize boss damage necessarily, okay? Let's imagine that's the case. I'm actually gonna turn my music down a little bit because it's blowing out my ears. So let's imagine that you're doing this mass AoE then. So you're still kind of down the right line. You're still going to want Primal Wrath. You're still going to want like Tear Open Wound and Rampant Ferocity and stuff. But if you're in mass AoE, the value of Rake is still going to be there. But you could instead transition to like a swipe playstyle. Because you just want to be like swiping and Primal Wrathing, swiping and Primal Wrathing, okay? So you could switch instead to a Wild Slashes playstyle. You could drop the value of Double Clawed Rake there. And you could pick up, not Lunar Inspiration, you could pick up Merciless Claws, grab that, and then you could grab like Moment of Clarity, because now we're just going to be like swiping a bunch. So there's this value in proccing your Ominins, but then also getting that additional damage on your swipes. It says Brutal Slash there, but that will transition to swipe. You can then drop Infected Wound value because you're not Double Clawed Raking necessarily, and so you can instead do something like this. And then you can go Apex, because you're going to want Primal Wrath on everything. You're going to want your Apex procs with your Rampant Ferocity. It's going to trigger your Sabretooth, going to trigger your Tear Open Wounds. That's all fantastic. You could also drop your Sudden Ambush, but I don't think there's going to be higher value in anything else, unless maybe you did like that. Maybe you could do that, because you're not going to be raking, you're not going to be shredding. So you can maybe do that, because you're still going to be biting. Or you could take an extra point in Tireless Energy, and you could do that instead, right? So that's I guess like one way that you could do your mass AoE if you're just like swiping. You could even drop Blood Talons as well if you wanted to, and you're literally just like swiping Primal Wrathing, and maintaining Adaptive Swarm as much as possible. Again, you could drop Adaptive Swarm and you go 1 minute Convoke. You could even go Incar. I've been playing with Incar in beta, and it still seems pretty good. So you can do that. You could also play what I play in Mythic Plus, and you could do like a Mythic Plus build, which is like AoE, and you can go mass AoE, and Double Clawed Rake still has really good value in mass AoE, right? But you're still getting like good single target value, and you could like Lunar Inspiration the boss, and you can Apex Bite the boss, and you can Double Clawed Rake the boss, and you can have a lot of damage going on the boss while still cleaving an AoE and allowing the AoE to give you more single target and funnel into the boss, right? It can act as a funnel. So I would still take Brutal Slash because you're going to be wanting to rake spread. You can still take... you could potentially take Lunar Inspiration, though maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I wouldn't if it was just flat mass AoE. Again, Convoke, 1 minute Convoke or Adaptive Swarm is just a personal choice, that's fine. But I would drop a point from Tireless Energy, and I would probably go Infected Wounds, drop a point there. I probably want Sudden Ambush, though I don't think I can actually afford it. Yeah, I could drop Tireless Energy there. So if it's mass AoE, but things are going to be dying periodically, then I think I'd do that, because I don't need the energy gain from Tireless, because I'm going to get it from Predator. So I'd probably go something somewhat like this, right? You don't need Lunar Inspiration necessarily. Again, you can still funnel without Lunar Inspiration. Blood Talons or Lion Strength, it would depend really on the scenario. If you feel like you're never really going to consistently generate Blood Talons, you're going to get too many Apex procs, then you could just go Lion Strength. But if you feel like, you know, ads are going to die and you can get time to go back into this more single target rhythm, then you can take Blood Talons and you'll be able to generate that, and that's fine. And yeah, then you can go Adaptive if you wanted to. Feral Frenzy is really high value, by the way. Feral Frenzy is probably one of your best single target, pure single target abilities. Though I like to take Lunar Inspiration instead of Feral Frenzy. Sometimes you can get both. But I like to take Lunar Inspiration instead of Feral Frenzy, because a lot of the time in scenario, like in Mythic Plus and Raid and stuff, there'll be scenarios where you have to move away from the mobs and you can't attack. So Lunar Inspiration just is going to gain more value there. Plus it's better at generating Blood Talons. So that's why I like to do that. So I think that's every scenario covered. We've got pure single target. We've got 2 to 4 target cleave. We've got pure single target with intermittent add burst cleave. We've got mass AoE. And then we can finally do just like a Mythic Plus build. So what I'm playing in Mythic Plus right now, which is really quite strong and I'm really enjoying, is this. And I'll make the build and then I'll kind of run you through it a little bit. Raging Fury or Tigers, you know what? Oh, yeah, I'll make the build and then I'll run you through it. Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna go this, we can go that, we can go Predator, almost missed that. Then I would come down here, grab that, grab one of those. And then I have 1 point left, so I normally go 2 minute Convoke. Because I think Convoke in AoE is really good, but I'll get to that. So this is my build in Mythic Plus right now. So it's Double Clawed Rake, because Rake spreading has really, really good value. The only thing that's better value as a generator than Double Clawed Rake is Brutal Slashing at 5 or more targets. But besides that, Double Clawed Rake is really good value. Next, I take Lunar Inspiration. Again, I've already explained Lunar Inspiration enough. Really good if you have to move out and all that kind of stuff, and good Blood Talon generation. I then have 1 in Sudden Ambush, because again, on single target, it's going to be a damage increase, but also Double Clawed Rake with Sudden Ambush has increased value. Infected Wounds has increased value on Double Clawed Rake. I'm taking my Rampant Frosty because of Apex Bites, taking Tear Open Wound because I'm going to be Primal Wrathing all the time. Then I'm taking Brutal Slash because Brutal Slash is really good in Mythic Plus, because it's energy efficient, so it's more energy efficient than Swipe, it does more damage than Swipe, it does more single target, it's not so, like it scales with haste, so you can actually, as you get more gear, it's actually going to be better with haste because you'll get more uses of it. You're also not just spamming like Swipe and Primal Wrath in Mythic Plus anymore. That's not what you do unless you're playing that specific build. So what you're instead doing is going to be like, yeah, you'll Brutal Slash, but then you'll need to reapply your Rakes, and then you'll get an Apex proc, and you need to Primal Wrath, and you need to maintain your Thrash, and like with all of that going on, you never ever like really run out of Brutal Slash if you're playing it correctly and spreading correctly and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I like Brutal Slash. I still like Berserk. I like 2 minute Berserk with 2 minute Convoke. Again, you don't have to play Convoke. You go Adaptive if you wanted to, and you could just do something like that if you really needed to. Or you could drop the point in Luna and you could do that. So you have options there with Adaptive or Convoke. Tiger's Tenacity or Apex. Tiger's Tenacity or Raging Fury. So Tiger's Tenacity, again, works really well with Apex. If things are consistently dying, then you're constantly proccing your Tiger's Fury, which means you're going to get these combat point generation back. So with Apex Bites, you can do like 2 Brutal Slashes, and then you get an Apex Bite proc because you're at AoE, and then you can bite, it'll put you at 5 combat points, and then you can use the finisher. It saves your whole global, and it just makes it more efficient with your Sabertooth uptime and Tear Open Wound like effect. But on Tyrannical week, I'd probably play Raging Fury. And I probably am only going to play Lunar Inspiration on Tyrannical. I should probably note that as well. So if it's Fortified, I would probably drop that and go like MOC instead. Because that has value in all, like AoE and single target. This only has value in single target or cleave. This only has value in single target. Feral Frenzy, that is. And then, yeah. So, what else? Blood Talons in AoE is still really, really good because you can generate, again, it's more single target, but you can also generate it in AoE, even if not consistently. It's still overall going to be better for your damage, as long as you're not completely neglecting it entirely. Apart from that, I just like Convoke right now. Convoke is really good because if it does a rake, it uses double clawed rake, which means I'm getting 30% increased damage on every rake, and it's applying to 2 targets. So it actually makes my Convoke act as if it's doing more abilities than it actually is. So that's cool. So you then also have the ability to generate, like if you bite in your Convoke window, then it'll proc your Rampant Frosty, so it'll actually cleave to every target. And then on top of that, it can proc that bite that you do from Convoke can proc your Sudden Ambush, and then you can then do a rake, which will actually be a double rake, and it'll be 90% increased damage on the rake, or well, 60% from the Sudden Ambush. So there's like really good value there and really good synergy there. So your rake spread, your bite, it can generate Blood Talons as well and use Blood Talons. So there's a lot of really good stuff with Convoke that I like in AoE and also single target and like bursting a mob down. So I like that. But you can play adaptive and stuff. Then that's basically it. Like that's my AoE build. You can also do an Incar build, which I'll go through really super quick. So the point of this build is like just Incar. Primal Wrath a bunch. Go MOC there. You'll go Swipe. You can go all the Berserks. That's fine. You want the reduction. Raging Fury is fine, I guess. Oh, no. You want Tiger Tenacity. Sorry. Because Common Point Efficiency. You can then go these. But I think you go that. So this is my Incar build, and it's actually performing quite well in Mythic Plus. What you want is a ton of energy, so you're never really having to stop pressing Swipe. And in AoE, it's going to swipe primal, swipe primal, swipe primal. The idea is to get as few globals as possible per finisher, which will maximize your Berserk uptime or your Incar uptime because you're going to get better use out of Heart of the Lion. But also, you're just going to get better value from Tear Open Wound and Primal Wrath. So that's the aim of the game, the name of the game. You're then going to get Apex procs, which again is reducing your time of even more of your Incons, so you can get really quick Incons. And then you also, during your Incon window, it's going to make it so your Berserk effect is 30 seconds long, not 20. So you get 10 extra seconds inside your Incon window, which means you get extra time in which your swipe is generating 3 combo points, not 2, from a crit. Assuming, obviously, you crit. So that means that you can... And you're also going to restore 2 combo points on a finisher. So you can literally, for 30 seconds, swipe primal, swipe primal, swipe primal. Every single, like... 2 globals, right, for 30 seconds, and then you can proc your Ashamane's Guidance whenever you're attacking, which can then give you 6 additional seconds on your Incon. But even in AoE, like randomly, you can proc that, and so you go into a big AoE pool and it procs, then you get your Frenzy Band and you're swiping and Primal Wrathing, and you're getting additional bleed damage, and you're getting combo point efficiency, and it just all works really nicely with this Incon build. And then you're getting the Apex Bite, giving you Tiger's Tenacity, Energy Refund. You're not going to generate Blood Talents, so you take Lion Strength. Yada, yada, yada. Oh my lord! Guys, I hope this was a helpful video explaining all the different talents, all the different scenarios you're going to be playing them in and stuff like that, and kind of just breaking down, like, how they all synergize well together or not. Hopefully this was, like, a good video. I hope it helped. Let me know in the comment section below if this was helpful or not, and why, and what you want to see next on the channel. But thank you all so much for watching, and come check me out on twitch.tv/cyber_TV, and I'll see you in the next one.